Hello, welcome to another episode of Set Musings. So we're up to Khans of Tarkir. So this is the last of the 3 set blocks, and then once we're through Khans of Tarkir we get on to, would be, I think, Magic Origins, and then after that we're over to 2 set blocks. Quite a lot to see in this set. So the themes and mechanics very much based around wedge colours, and in terms of the keywords and ability words, so we've got Delve, Ferocious, Morph, Outlast, Prowess and Raid, and I'll explain in a moment how that all sort of ties together with the different wedges in here, because the clans were each represented by a wedge. And as we go through in a moment, we'll talk about those. But if I scroll through straight away, you can see those wedges, those clans, are indicated by these watermarks. So the symbol, there's things like, the scale of the dragon, the eye of the dragon, the fang of the dragon, the wing of the dragon, and the claw of the dragon. So with a consistent theme in the set, we're obviously seeing a good degree of consistency in the artwork and the sort of things that it depicts and the sort of characters that it depicts. You'll also see that once we get through the monocolour cards, some of them do have multicoloured activation costs or have some relation to a colour outside of their casting colour. But then once you get further, you start to see the 3 colour cards in the set. And then also there are some 2 colour cards as well, which you'll see further down here. So quite a number of multicolour cards, and then we move on to the no colour cards. But again, some of these have a relation to a particular wedge colour in the in the rules text in some way. And we'll be looking at the different cycles in a moment as well. And then we've also got some interesting non-basic lands as well in the set at various rarities, which we'll go through. And of course, first set of the block, so it does mean we're going to see some nice basic land artwork, which we'll also go through in a bit more detail. Okay, so first up, let's just talk about the relationship between the reprints and new cards. So we've got 18 reprints. Be aware with these, some of these reprints are going to have theme specific artwork, so they'll probably have new artwork compared to the artwork we've seen before. So we just got 18 of those, and then we've got 231 cards which are brand new, well, not reprints. Moving through the different amounts of colour, so we've got the cards with no colour in the casting cost, but some of these may have a colour in the rules text, and there are 14 of those, and you can see in this set they are all indeed artifacts, although some of them are various subtypes of artifact. We've got 158 cards that are monocolour in the casting cost. Again, you'll notice that some of these may have a second colour in the rules text. Then we've got 16 two-colour cards, and we'll see how they sort of manifest themselves in the set. And then we have 40 cards which are more than two colours. In this case they're actually all three colour cards. We don't have any Wooberg or anything, any four colour stuff. It's all three colour as the maximum amount of colours in the casting cost. So in terms of looking very roughly at tribal types in the various colours, so if we look at white, you can see we've got variations on humans here, Kirkin, a wall, more humans, birds. So yeah, a lot of humans as the first creature subtype, and then there's a lot of second ones, so warriors, scouts, berserkers. We have something here called a Lamassu, which looks like some sort of weird flying goat type creature. We have Wingmake Rock, which is a bird. And then of course in the multicoloured cards, because of the presence of other colours beyond white, we're going to see other combinations of subtypes. So some more humans, insect, goblin, demon, the red, white, black, and so on. In blue, so some human wizards, human monk, birds, Naga wizards. So wizards looks like it's a thing. Wizards and monks. We got another bird, Leviathan. Some elementals, you'll see quite a number of elementals in blue. We've got an elk. And then moving on to the multicoloured cards again, interesting combinations with once the second or third colour comes in with blue. But yeah, a lot of monks, a lot of wizards in blue. In black, so we have some wizards there, warriors, humans, bats, vampire, zombie. So a little bit over the place here. As in black, you know, you'd expect normally to see zombies and vampires, but I see warriors as a subtype here, but not that many. Yeah, so probably a bit of a mixed bag there. And then moving on to cards with a secondary or third colour. Again, you can see the mixture here. And of course some of these will be cards we've seen before in the other colours. These Naga shamans as well. So interesting combinations as well, like cat demons and a few other things. There's a couple of cat demons there. Moving on to red. Monks, shamans. Got a phoenix there. Hound scout, human rogue, human monk, human berserker, goblins, ogres, the yeti. But yeah, a lot of humans again. And as we move into the 2 and 3 colours. So what are we seeing here? Monks, humans and wizards, I suppose, across the board. Not just in this colour, but just generally. And then into green. So yeah, bear, wall, human warrior, elk, snake, hydra, ape. So more humans. Some beasts. And then I think most of these we would have obviously seen already. Yeah, all of them actually. As we've now moved into green. Okay. Right. Large mana cards. So anything greater than 6, so 7 or more. You can see there's 9 cards that fit the bill there. Starting off with Dune Blast. 7. Have I got this in? Yeah, I've got this in mana order. So we've got 7. Number of 7 casting cost here. And what it maxes out at 10 with Dead Drop. So we're seeing black, blue, a green, a white, but no red cards with high casting cost. So the different wedge colours. So white, black, green is Abzan. The mechanic is Outlast. And the symbol is the scale of the dragon. And the Khan for this is Anafenza. So you can see all of these have the watermark in them. Even though they are single colour, they have a certain association with the 3-colour wedge in some way. As you can see, they will have, or not all, but quite a few of them have Outlast on them. And then we're moving down to the 2 colours and then the 3 colours. And there's Anafenza. And we'll be revisiting a number of these probably in the different cycles. Now we've got Jeskai. So this is blue, red, white. The mechanic is Prowess. The symbol is Eye of the Dragon. And the Khan for this particular wedge is Narset. And even just going through this second one, you're probably starting to see the cycles sort of bubbling up that are in there. Okay, Sultai. So with Sultai, it's black, green, blue. We have Delve as our mechanic. And the symbol is Fang of the Dragon. And the Khan is Sidisi. Actually, one thing I didn't point out, so you can see 30 cards are Abzan cards with watermarks. Then we had 30 cards which have the Jeskai watermark on them. And then 36 cards have the Sultai watermark. And I mentioned that the mechanic was Delve for this. But as you've noticed with the other cards, you don't always see Delve on every single Sultai watermarked card. But the nice thing about watermarks is, of course, it gives you nice indicators in draft. So 29 Mardu cards. So Mardu's red, white, black. The mechanic's Raid. The symbol is Wing of the Dragon. And Zergo Helm Smasher is the Khan for this one. And then finally, in terms of the wedge colours and their clans, we've got Tima, so Tima Frontier. Mechanic is Ferocious. There's 31 cards with the Tima watermark on it. The symbol is Claw of the Dragon. And the Khan is Sarek Dragon Claw. So, going back through the different mechanics. So with Delve, which is the Sultai one, you've got each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this spell pays for 1. So it basically helps with casting by exiling cards from your graveyard. Exiling, yep. And that could be any card that you exile to help with the delve cost. Then we got Ferocious, which is a Temur mechanic. So with Ferocious, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you then get to do something, if you like. Or sorry, an extra ability. Yeah, bear punch. Then we've got Morph in here. So this Morph isn't really attributed to any specific wedge colour. It's sort of across different colours. There's 35 Morph cards, and you can see by the different watermarks and the different colours involved here, it's across things. So with Morph, you can cast the card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3, and then you get to turn it up for its Morph cost. And what you'll find is on some of these cards, there is something that gets triggered when the card gets turned face up. Outlast, which is the Abzan mechanic. So with Outlast, you can see there's a cost. You tap it and then you put a +1/+1 counter on it, on this creature, and Outlast is sorcery speed. And so it's a +1/+1 counter thing. It's only 9 cards with Outlast on them. And then Prowess, which is the Jeskai mechanic. And with Prowess, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And there are 10 cards there. So, you know, a bit of imbalance card-wise in terms of the different the mechanics and abilities within the set. Keywords. And we've got Raid, which was the Mardu one. Mardu mechanic. 11 of these. And with Raid, you can see here on these cards, it's a lot of these, it's an ETB ability, enters the battlefield ability, but with some, there's a bit of a twist to that. So you'll see here, there's one if you attacked with a creature this turn. But you can see that attacking with a creature, if we look at these, is always a feature. So there's sort of two, well, there's a trigger and a condition, or in some cases there is just this sort of trigger. Sorry, there is just a condition. Well, I suppose it could be both called a trigger and a condition, but I think you see what I mean. So if we compare this one with this one, so with this one, when it enters the battlefield, you then check to see if you attacked with a creature this turn. If you do, then target opponent discards a card. With this one, if you attack with a creature this turn, because it's just a sorcery, so you can see for creatures it's going to be and enter the battlefield ability, which most of these are, followed by this check for this condition to see if you attack with a creature. But with the sorceries, obviously all it does is when you cast the spell, it checks, because it's not entering the battlefield, it's just being cast. So that's why there's a difference there. So moving on, I believe this is the first of the cycles. So we've got a cycle where I think these are called reveal morphers according to MTG Wiki. So 5 uncommon creatures with morph that can be turned faced up by revealing a card of the same colour and have a turned faced up ability. Each are the primary colours of their clan. So next cycle is a cycle of enemy coloured commons. There's actually 10 of them. So 10 common cards that have an ability that requires an enemy colour. So for each one you can see there's going to be 2 enemy colours. And that keeps him with what is a wedge. So a wedge is the primary colour and then it's 2 enemy colours, as opposed to a shard, which is a primary colour and the secondary colours are its 2 allied colours. So here the wedges are the primary and the secondary are the 2 enemy colours. So we've got, with white we've got red and black, with blue we have green and red, with black we have green and white, with red we have blue and white, and then with green we have black and blue. We have a cycle of enemy coloured we have a cycle of allied coloured fetch lands. These are at rare, and they can be sacrificed along with a payment of 1 life to search for a land with one of 2 basic land types, and they're reprints from Onslaught. Then we've got a cycle of enemy coloured rares, so 5 rare enemy coloured cards, each with simple yet strong effects or abilities. Each uses secondary or tertiary colour of the clan. So they're thinking of a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary here. In this particular set. And then we have a double cycle of enemy coloured uncommons. So 5 pairs of enemy coloured cards, each flavoured 1 apiece per clan of these colours. The top row, this is in there in things, but there's 5 of them use the primary and tertiary colours, and 5 of them use the secondary and tertiary colours. So we've got Chief of the Scale, Master of the Way, Death Frenzy, Ride Down, and Ice Feather, even as the first cycle of these enemy coloured uncommons. And then the second cycle is Chief of the Scale, Winterflame, Kintree, Invocation, High Spire, Mantis, and then we've got Secret Plans. So yeah, what they're sort of saying is the flavouring is slightly different for these cards. You can see here, I don't know if you can spot this, you can see with some of them they don't have a particular wedge or clan they're attributed to. Did I skip ahead here? Or did I foolishly? Let me just add in. There we go. So we have a cycle of Khans. So the 5 mythic rare legendary creatures that have a cost that includes the 3 colours, the wedge colours. So we got Zergo, Surak, Anafenza, Narset and Sidisi. And you can see the appropriate watermark there for the different with the different symbol. Then we have this cycle of ascendancies, so 5 rare enchantments costing the 3 colours of the clan, and then they're appropriately named: Mardu, Tima, Abzan, Jeskai and Sultai. We have rare wedge-coloured creatures, so 3 colour creatures at rare, and you can see they're all 2 and then the 3 colours, and they have this repeatable trigger on them. And we have 5 common creatures that cost 3 and then the wedge colour, and it has a morph cost of 2 and then the wedge colour. These, I believe, are called wedge lands, so 5 uncommon triple lands that come into play tapped and can be tapped for 1 of 3 colours of mana, and they're the wedge versions of the Shards of Alara triple lands. So now you have all 10 3-colour combinations at this point in Magic, in terms of the triple lands. I mean, we've seen 3 colours manifest themselves on lands in different ways, but I believe it was the first time it was done quite like this. Previous lands where there's been 3 colours, obviously we've seen the shards in Shards of Alara, but you know, earlier in Magic's history where 3 colours were a thing, they played around a little bit with, you know, sacrificing the land with a certain amount of colours, or using all like filter lands that filtered the other colours, and all sorts of things in between, if my memory serves me correctly. We have a cycle of charms, 1 for each of the clans. They have 3 modes on them, you can see, so you get to choose one. First of which is a removal effect in the primary clan colour. So Mardu 1 for damage, the Tima charm, Oh, this, yeah. Removal through fighting and +1/+1. Exiling certain powers of creature. Bouncing to the top of his owner's library and destroying. And then we have uncommon wedge-colored creatures. So obviously 5 of them that cost 2, and then the wedge colours. And all but one of them have enter the battlefield ability. Yeah, this one doesn't. This is whenever it attacks. Cycle of banners. So yeah, some interesting common mana rocks. So 5 of them, artifacts. They cost 3 to cast, and they're sort of like, they're very similar to the Dragon's Maze cycle of clue stones. These ones produce any of the 3 enemy colours of mana and sacrifice them for drawing a card. So there was a very large cycle. It was, the full colour combinations of the 2 colours, so all 10. So a 10 multicolour common lands that enter the battlefield tapped. They have life gain on them when they enter the battlefield. And once they untap, then you can tap them for the particular combination of either allied colours or enemy colours, because we've got the full 10 here. The allied colour ones are actually functional reprints of the refuse cycle in Zendikar. There's a pair in here, match pair. Chief of the Edge, Chief of the Scale. So Chief of the Edge, other warrior creatures you control get +1/+0. And the Chief of the Scale, 0/1, other warrior creatures you control get 0/+1. So you saw when we went through the different creature types, yeah, there's, I suppose you could say there is warrior tribal in here. So 15 mythics in the set. Now of that 15, we've seen 5 of them already, because the legendary creatures, the 5 legendary creatures, were at mythic. So what have we got left? Well, sort of mixed bag really. So we got a single white creature, excuse me, a couple of blue creatures, a black instant, a red creature and a red planeswalker, a green creature and a sorcery, and then we've got Sorin, who is white-black, and then the remainder here, in terms of coloured cards, there are our aforementioned legendary creatures. But then we also have a legendary artifact in the form of Ugin's Nexus. Here's our basic lands. There we go, very nice. I'd forgotten how nice these lands were actually. So 21 non-basic lands. I've already mentioned some cycles already. So we've got this sort of cycle of life gain tap lands at common. We've then got the uncommon triple lands as well. So, or the uncommon wedge lands, however you want to think of them. And then there was also the allied colour fetch lands at rare. So we've got lands at each rarity. And up here it said, what, 21? So doing the math on that, there must be an additional card somewhere in here, which doesn't fit into the cycles we've seen already. And that is the Tomb of the Spirit Dragon. So tap, add colourless to your mana pool. 2 tap, you gain 1 life for each colourless creature you control. Interesting. Interesting to see how many colourless creatures there were. What was that actually? What rarity was that at? So that was at uncommon. So the upshot of this is, if you're drafting this, you're going to see quite a lot of this land-based mana fixing in your draft pool, because so many of these cards are, you know, below rare. They're either at common or uncommon. And I suppose, yeah, makes perfect sense. If you're dealing in a set where they want you to be playing around with wedges, then you want to make sure that all of that, those colours of mana are going to be available and easy to create decks around. So we've got 9 legendary cards, and we already know 5 of those are going to be the Khans. So what do we have left out of the 9? So that's another 4. So we've got Sarkhan, which is a legendary planeswalker. Sorin, who we've seen already, Solemn Visitor. And then we have Dragon Throne of Tarkir, which was a legendary artifact equipment. And Ugin's Nexus, which is a legendary artifact. So 121 creatures in the set. And as you probably already noticed, that's across all sorts of monocolours and colour combinations, both 2-colour and 3-colour as well. "14 enchantments, including those ascendancies that we saw. There's also a 2-colour enchantment as well. 5 auras, but not a cycle in terms of the colours. So you can see here we're missing a green aura. These all enchant creatures, but one of them is clan specific. You can see it has Ferocious on it. We've got a single artifact creature actually, of course, now I've thought about it, there was a card that cared about colourless creatures. I think, well, where are the colourless creatures coming from? If the only artifact creature in the set is this one, of course it would be via the Morph cards. If they're cast face down. So we have 35 cards that have the potential to be colourless in the set. Then we've got 3 pieces of equipment. Dragon Throne of Tarkir, Ghost Fire Blade and Heart Piercer Bow. And then 10 regular artifacts, of which 5 of those are that cycle of banners, and then the remainder we've got Altar of the Brood, Briber's Purse, Cranial Archive, Lens of Clarity, and Ugin's Nexus. 43 instants, and what you probably see here, if you notice, I think most of these are predominantly not attributed to a particular clan, actually. If you look at the sort of lack of clan symbols, apart from the sort of ones further down, which are the 3 coloured ones. So with 43, we're going to have a lot going on. So we've got, in white, we've got Pump Spell, Exile, Counters and Protection, Destruction of a target attacking creature, Destruction of a certain level of power, Tokens. In blue, we have, which we've seen in the previous sets, this sort of minus power, -0 effect in blue. This has been stapled together with draw a card. We've got counter spell. We've got cancel in the set, which is a reprint. Tap down, library manipulation. You can see here there's quite a few cards that care about the mana cost or some aspect of power 4 or greater, converted mana cost 4 or greater. There's another bounce spell in blue, tap down, and then you'll see there's also additional conditions here through the various mechanics as well. So we've got some Ferocious in here as well, which makes things more flavorful, more interesting, but also adds additional conditions to this. So some more bounce, card draw, moving into black. We've got tokens, destruction, -4/-4. So some interesting sort of removal here. Then in red, instant speed, 3 damage, but there's an additional bonus to do with +1/+1 counters, about getting more damage. 6 damage, along with exile all cards from a graveyard. Artifact destruction, asymmetrical pump and fight. More asymmetrical pump. In green, so standard sort of pump spell. A larger pump spell with delve. Counters, life gain, tagged together with Ferocious, artifact enchantment destruction, flyer destruction, it's in green. And then in the different combinations you can see we've got utter end, which is exile, counter spell and damage with mind swipe, and so on. You can see how the different combinations of colour work together to slightly modify the sort of effect you might see in the monocolour cards, to sort of incorporate aspects of the 2 colours. And we've got these at instant speed, and then of course you've got the modal charms as well here. Sorcery speed, 30 cards. So we've got a Wrath, a type effect in white, a asymmetric pump across all creatures, but also there's an additional condition, extra stuff for basically playing warriors. Bounce back to top of your library in blue. Library manipulation. We've got treasure cruise, it's card draw with delve. Then in black, we've got an interesting bit of library and sort of graveyard stuff going on there. Sacrifice in black. Hand disruption. Untargeted though. Graveyard bounce. Back to your hand. Discard in black. Interesting sorcery speed destruction. Again, we've got a number of cards here that are caring about counters, +1/+1 counters. But again, that ties in with obviously the themes in the in particular wedges, or a particular wedge. Act of Treason was in here, so we've got some sorcery speed stealing going on in red. Arc Lightning, so here's a sorcery speed 3 damage spell with that business of being able to split the damage up. Arrow Storm, 4 damage stapled with Raid. Barrage of Boulders, 1 damage stapled with Ferocious. Crater Claws is our scalable sorcery speed X damage spell, but it's stapled up with Ferocious. Hordeling Outburst is tokens. Howl of the Horde. We've got instant sorcery copying, which we see in red, but it's combined up with Raid. Tormenting Voice was an interesting card. So an additional cost to cast Tormenting Voice, discard a card, but you get to draw 2 cards. Now I believe this was reprinted several times after that, and that was a common. And we got Incremental Growth, so we're playing around with counters again in green. There's an interesting fight type spell in Roar of the Challenge, and then we've got this sort of together with Ferocious. Savage Punch, it's a fight spell with Ferocious, and Scout the Borders, so this thing you get in green sometimes with top of the library tutoring. Seek the Horizon was our sorcery speed, a basic land search card. There's another library tutoring in green here as well. See the Unwritten with Ferocious. So card draw, and then moving on, we've got the different colour combinations here as well. We've got Dune Blast, which is this interesting wrath effect where you get to choose up to one creature and destroy the rest, but it can actually be any creature, not just your own. So yeah, some interesting, again, interesting stuff to see in the multicolours, how the sort of things that you might see in the individual monocolour cards like combined together. So back to the whole set. Then now we just have a quick look at this. We see that clearly this cycle of rare lands, the allied colour rare fetch lands, are banned in Pioneer. So most expensive card in the set, and you can see here these are Onslaught reprints, but quite a big difference price wise. So the original Onslaught card for Polluted Delta has set you back currently around $94. The Khans of Tarkir version is $41. It's been reprinted as an expedition, and it was, like you can see, there's a couple of special ones here, including a judge's gift card. So no surprise to see that, those are the most expensive cards. Let's see where we drop below the magical $10. So you can see these are well up in the $30 plus. And we've got Altar of the Brood. Wow, that's a big drop. So look at that. Interesting. So the cheapest one where are we? I'm in trouble here. So all of these up to this point above 30. Then we get Windswept Heath, which is, was it green white? And that's clocking in at just above $20, so $22. It's also in a World Championship deck. That's an Onslaught. That's curious. It's got a new border on it. I don't think I've got that deck, but I was quite surprised to see that. Must be a reason why they've got it in the newer borders. Okay. See, the original Onslaught is $60. I don't think I have any of these in their original printings. Alter the Brood, so we're down to $7, just like that. So, and then we have, you can see a number of couple of 3-coloured cards there, Hardened Scales, but these have cropped up. These cards have cropped up several times. Clever Impersonator is an interesting one. That was only ever reprinted in Commander 2019. Well, apart from obviously the promos here. So yeah, there's quite a sharp price drop there in the cards. That's interesting. So yeah, the real chase cards still are those, and not surprisingly, those allied colour fetch lands. Did any of those ever get reprinted in a Commander product? I don't think so. You can see several of them definitely were in those World Championship decks, which are the gold borders ones. I've done some unboxings of a couple of those, I think. And yeah. Most of these reprints seem to be in, what you might think of beyond the World Championships decks as sort of premium product, I suppose, for want of a better word. It's funny here, this one, the Expedition is the same price as a lot of the regular printings of the other ones. So I've based on a suggestion, so thanks for the suggestion from the viewer that asked me to change something. I think this is a great idea. It's basically taking something that I've done earlier, which is this business of doing this -is reprint, and applying it to the EDH ranking section. So what I'm going to do here is we'll look first of all at the EDH ranking for those cards that are not reprints. So these are totally new. And then I'll look at the ones which are reprints, and then we'll look at both, and we can sort of see how the two interact, if you like. So you can see popular according to the EDH rec ranking. So we've got Treasure Cruise, Dig Through Time. No surprise to see these triple lands, tri-lands. Grim, Haruspex, Utter End, and there's the rest of them. And then we've got these ones, of course, which are functional reprints. So yeah, definitely those newer lands or functional reprint lands from the set are bubbling to the top quite considerably. And then there's a number of the ascendancies. Obviously we're in like a multicoloured set as well, so I suspect a number of these fitted in nicely with 2 or 3 colour commander decks. Also, I'm trying to think the point at which they actually printed. So the first commander product was actually Wedge Commanders, I believe, and they did Wedges first and then Shout. So this was obviously sometime after that first commander product, but some interesting stuff to play around with, an interesting tool set in terms of cards to play around with if you already had that original commander product, which was nice. So in terms of reprints and the EDH ranking, of course, yeah, here we go again. So the allied colour fetch lands, and then the usual suspects like Naturalize, Cancel, Act of Treason, Seek the Horizon. Yeah, so that was a reprint. Erase, Shatter, Despise, and so on. Trumpet Blast, where did that come from? Oh, way back from Urza's Destiny. There's obviously not many on this list because there was only, 18 reprints. And then sort of sliding the two together, so everything together, you can see, not surprisingly, the reprints bubble above this treasure cruise. So we've got the 5 allied colour fetchlands, and then things like treasure cruise and doing through time and the tri-lands and so on. Yeah, so it's like old stuff, new stuff, and then where do we get? Yeah, things like naturalize, old stuff again. So yeah, cool. So what else about the set? Well, we still got, where are we? Still got intro packs. So yeah, 2 boosters in these along with the decks. No surprise, 3 colours and all named after the appropriate clan. So yeah, so Wedge-Colored. Still have an event deck. I know we saw, what was it, a Clash pack in the previous set, but they were alternating at that point between Clash packs and event decks, alternate sets. So we got Conquering Hordes event deck to look at. Notice it's actually 2 colours. Okay, so the intro packs. So white, black, green, Outlast, Absan Siege, which was Ivory Tusk Fortress, and High Sentinels of Arashin. Interesting. So what have we got in here? Yeah, so clearly what's going on is we've got a couple of copies of the appropriate Wedgeland tricolour, and then a copy each of these ones that enter the battlefield tapped, you gain life in each of the 2 colours to give overall the 3 colours, and then regular basic lands. I wonder if that was a format for all of those. So the Jeskai one with Prowess. Yeah, so what's going on here? So Sage of the Inward Isle and Flying Crane Technique. So Sultai, Delve, black, green, blue. Yeah, same thing going on with the mana base. Rakshasa Visor, I think that is. Necropolis Fiend. And of course here, I mean, it's pretty obvious if you have intro packs, but you know, you always get one of them that was a foil. Mardu, which is red, white, black, Raid. Yeah, same stuff going down with the land, the banner mace. And then Ankle Shanker and Crackling Doom. And then Temur Avalanche, the Ferocious one. Same sort of thing, mana base, Avalanche Tusker and Icy Blast. So just to recap here, you can see that at least one of these, I think, we'll just check. Yeah. Was in 3 colours. But the second rare wasn't necessarily. And then the event deck. So it's actually 2 colours. There was a Caves of Koilos in it. Yeah. And then we've got... So this was a dual land outside of the set. It wasn't one of the fetch lands. You can see as well it wouldn't be, because those fetch lands were only allied colours, and that's an enemy colour because this is a white-black deck. But it did have scoured barons from the set. Was in there, so that large cycle of life gain tap lands. Sideboard as well, and a lot more rares in the event decks. But you'll probably see as we move through the sets, I suppose you could say that the event decks days were numbered. I suppose there was some clue of that with the introduction of the Clash packs, but then we'll see the point at which obviously the event decks disappeared. But yeah, quite a wide range of cards here from previous blocks and sets before the Khans, because this is just like the first set, the large set of the block. And that's something I forgot to mention, I've just realised, is normally I say how many, you probably worked out it's 269 cards in this set, 101 commons, 80 uncommons, 53 rares, 15 mythic rares, 20 basic lands. In terms of the Commander Durdle episode, I'm going to choose Sarek Dragonclaw as my commander from the set, and I've basically added in all of the cards that have the set symbol and a sort of relevant or playable in some way. That's not to say they won't get removed. So we've got Embodiment of Spring, Rattleclaw Mystic, we've got a Frontier Bivouac, Kratos Claw, See the Unwritten, Savage Punch, Icy Blast, Stubborn Denial, Timor Charm. I suppose the other thing, actually, I didn't think about this, I should do, is also add in the life gain lands as well that come into play tapped. Those to give me the three colour combinations. So I should do that as well in here. And yeah, why don't I just add in everything actually on the colour combination side of things where it's appropriate. I'm just trying to think whether that would would that work? So yeah, I'll decide when the video goes out. I'll adjust this accordingly, but I'm sure I could put in the relevant colour combinations for I'm just looking quickly, so I could put a wooded footland in there. Wooded foothills could go in of the allied colour fetch lands. I think that might be the only one that colour-wise could go in there, because Flooded Strand is white-blue, Polluted Delta is blue-black, Bloodstained Mire is black-red, Wooded Foothills is red-green, so I'm fine with that, and then Windswept Heath is green-white. Yeah, so, but because there's a full cycle for the common ones, yeah, I could put in 3 of those, and I'll do that for the comes into play tap life gain lands. So thanks once again for watching this episode. I will catch you in the next episode, and bye for now.